Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. The second body has washed ashore along Trinidad's northeastern coast at Balandra Beach. The unidentified male was reportedly found by a villager on September 7th. Reports indicate that the villager, while on his property, noticed vultures feeding on an unidentified object, later confirmed to be a decomposing body. The discovery was reported to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and officers responded to the scene. The body was found in an advanced state of decomposition, with the right hand and foot missing, clothing wrapped around the neck, and visible burn marks. So, of course, most likely, this is another one of the Venezuelan drug and human traffickers that were taken out by the U.S. military recently. And bear in mind what people are talking about, due process. Listen to me carefully, people. This is common sense. Common sense from a peasant here in Sangre Grande. Due process is when you're dealing with, basically with local issues. Okay? Or if, of course, you're actually willfully targeting civilians in a foreign country. Willfully, listen to what I'm saying. Willfully. Because a lot of individuals are going to come and say, oh, Israel targeting civilians in Gaza, which is a blatant lie by itself. Because Israel, the IDF, and the Netanyahu administration does far more to warn civilians to evacuate certain areas before they invade and attack the Hamas terrorists. But back to the American issue here, right? America isn't going and just bombing civilian areas in Venezuela. And even if they do so, they're going to do just like the IDF and warn the civilians to leave and say, okay, listen, we are going to target the Maduro palace and therefore presidential palace, and you know what? Leave from around those, evacuate the surrounding areas. That's what America will do. What the thing about it is, what ends up taking place is that a lot of the times it gives the opportunity to the terrorists to flee as well, to hide. So in a case like, let's just say the presidential palace, they will probably do like what like Israel does at times and target a specific building instead of a whole community. That's what Israel does a lot of the times, all in Syria and Lebanon and those places. They will target specific buildings, and yet still they will secretly send messages to individuals who they know may not be loyal to the terrorist regime and say, listen, get out of those particular areas. You know? And that is why a lot of the times you end up seeing it has camera footage, because people are warned from advance. And that's how they can end up recording what ends the action that has taken place. So people, back to what I was saying there. People will want to say, oh, America targets a boat full of people and that due process, and why they didn't arrest the people. America, the Trump administration, has declared drug traffickers, human traffickers, as terrorists. These criminal gangs as terrorist organizations, and therefore they have waged war. And war, there are different rules when it pertains to war. You can take out a target without due process once you have declared war against a foreign enemy.
And a second body washed ashore along Trinidad's northeastern coast at Balandra Beach. The unidentified male was reportedly found by a villager on September 7th. Reports indicate that a villager, while on his property, noticed vultures feeding on an unidentified object, later confirmed to be a decomposing body. The discovery was reported to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, who responded to the scene. The body was found in an advanced state of decomposition, with the right hand and foot missing, clothing wrapped around the neck, and visible burn marks. On September 5th, an unidentified body washed ashore near Olaharan Trace, Kumana, in Tuku.
overheating phones. Cool your phones in seconds. Prevents damage to phones and battery issues. Better gaming experience and streaming. USB powered and fast charging. Lightweight and quiet. Ideal for kids and adults. Works with all smartphones. Makes a great gift. Enjoy free island-wide delivery. Call or WhatsApp 868-762-6589. Tobago's fisherfolk say they are alarmed by the deafening silence of Chief Secretary Fali Augustine following the United States destruction of a Venezuelan vessel that left 11 people dead. What do they want him to say? They want him to condemn the Kamala Prasad administration for supporting America. They want him to condemn America for targeting narco-terrorists, human traffickers. Is that what they want? And once again, these are the mainstream media, the Syrian, Lebanese media here in Trinidad and Tobago never miss an opportunity to target the Kamala Prasad administration and, by extension, the Trump administration in America. Tobago fisherfolk, my foot. Tobago, PNM, arm or branch of their party, and the 1% Syrian mainstream media allies. That is what fisherfolk, my foot. You won't be disappointed with this one. Look and feel great every day. Painless trimming with no pulling of hair guaranteed. Comfortable to hold and lightweight. Intelligent anti-pinch system. Safety travel lock. Accurate and painless trimming. Durability, 100% quality. Fast charging. To place an order, call or WhatsApp 868-762-6589. Police Commissioner Alistair Guevara and 2 police officers met students attending the La Romaine Secondary School this morning. Well, that was yesterday morning, the first day of the new academic term. La Romaine Secondary is one of the priority schools designated for the deployment of police officers on the compound. I fully support it. I am thankful that the Kamala Prasad administration didn't listen to those in Teuton whatsoever that had concerns. Now, Teuton said there's a support, but they wanted temporary and all kind of utter nonsense, and they don't want the police officers to be armed. And as I said recently, I don't want the police officers to be using any sort of deadly force on our students here in Trinidad and Tobago. But they must keep their firearms on them in case some Trinidad criminal parent decides to come and target the police officers because they are ensuring that the school compound is now secured and that drug trafficking and gang recruitment cannot occur again in our schools of Trinidad and Tobago. I fully support it. What I will continue to say, and I hope the Kamala Prasad administration ensures that it is implemented, is that all these police officers wear body cams at all times to ensure that the warning that was given to them, which is do not target our students. And I fully agree with that warning. Do not go there and feel as though you're going to be able to bully the students and them either, because your 2 wrongs don't make a right. You're going there to prevent bullying, and yet you're bullying as well. That will be totally wrong. But it's only if you have the body cams you'll be able to ensure that that does not take place, and also to protect the police officers from false allegations as well. The United States acknowledges Prime Minister Kamala Prasad's support for U.S. military operations in the South Caribbean Sea during talks on Monday with Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau. Landau reaffirmed the strength of the partnership between the 2 countries and described Trinidad and Tobago as a strong partner in the Caribbean, according to a statement from the U.S. Department of State. He also highlighted both governments' joint commitment to tackling illegal narcotics and firearms trafficking. It's a war against crime, people. It's a war against drugs. Not the Maduro regime, which I wish the Americans decide to topple him as well, because it's an illegitimate regime anyhow you take it. And he's a dictator. I hope they overthrow the Iranian regime, the Ayatollah as well. The Deputy Secretary stressed the importance of establishing a United Nations support office for Haiti During the call, both leaders underlined the need for further international assistance to address insecurity and violence in Haiti. I said it recently. I said that whether it's a United Nations is a waste of time. I wish America intervenes in Haiti and wipe out all those criminal gangs in that country to save the people of that nation, just like how IDF is destroying Hamas in Gaza to save the civilians, the same civilians that despise Israel in the first place. My response, nothing is wrong with standing alone, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, as long as it's for the right reasons. America is our greatest ally, and this war against crime and terrorism will benefit all our peoples throughout the Caribbean. I'm joyful and thankful to see the UNC administration continue to lean on the Christian conservative side of politics. Hopefully, the day will come when they will stand with Israel as well.
Move your hand. Move your hand. Right. Sorry.
So I would take you just to show you the access to the entire block.
Okay.
So we have only from 1 to 45 classroom there. And more to the back, we have the house. Exactly. Downstairs, upstairs. Yeah. So we are going to open the window and stuff like that. But this is, yeah, the classroom. So, but this is the main area. So you notice on the wall we have the classroom over. So you know we have assembly here. Because of the first year school, we start to have the house and we put it. That's how we open here.
So this will be the main hub behind the all
Yes,
the activities.
all the activities. Correct. From 1 to 45, just the entire time. So we have cubicles here for them, right? We have an extra desk here, fans, we have refrigerator, microwave behind there. Yeah. So these are one of the cubicles they'll be using, right?
Four persons have been arrested for having a gun, ammunition, and cocaine in separate anti-crime exercises over the week in Southern, Southwestern, and Tobago divisions. Remember, people, we do not have the right to bear arms at this point in time. Some of these individuals may not be owning a firearm because they're involved in any criminal activity, you know. It's just that we're living in an extremely dangerous country and you would want to have it to protect yourselves. But at this point in time, we do not have the rights to bear arms, and therefore you should not be in possession of those illegal firearms. We're not talking about pellet gun, we're talking about things that could actually, you know, take people's lives, which I fully support the rights to bear arms, but we have to do it the legal way. A 42-year-old vendor from Faizabad was held for having cocaine for the purpose of trafficking, while another vendor, 25, of also Faizabad, was arrested for the possession of cocaine. Minister of Public Utilities Barry Paradat said the Water and Sewage Authority, WASA, should have communicated more effectively with the public about the severity of the leak along the Beetham Highway that caused a major traffic backup on the first day of school. He said WASA reported that one of its major pipelines ruptured yesterday evening in the vicinity of the lighthouse. Emergency work was carried out up to 5 a.m. to fix the problem. WASA said the road surface remained saturated, so resurfacing could not be done immediately. Management, however, assured that the area would be resurfaced by the end of today. Long time, usually, especially under the PNM. Resurfacing, my foot, it just remains with big stinking potholes for people to drop into. Paradat expressed empathy for the public and said that once WASA realized the overflow could not be resolved in time, they attempted to alert commuters. He stressed that better communication is expected and has called for a full report on the unplanned project. This is what I like about Paradat. Is Paradat? Yeah, Padarat, sorry, always pronouncing the man's name wrong. Padarat, not Paradat. Padarat, this is what I like about him, you know. Much as I don't agree with his personal lifestyle, the man believes in what he's doing and he has a passion for his job. And he does not tolerate incompetence or any sort of slackness like this. And therefore, I believe he's one of the best performing ministers in the Kamala Prasad administration, putting aside, as I said, my personal opinions of his life. But his personal life is not affecting his performance in government. And therefore, as I will continue to commend him for a job well done. A Diego Martin woman was robbed of $16,000 after paying an online travel agency for a vacation in Antigua. I'm telling you, you have to be so careful with these ads you're seeing, especially on Facebook. A lot of them are fake. Scammers, especially when they're promising you all kind of, when you invest money, you're going to get 10 times the amount and all kind of utter stupidness. Lies. Things that are unbelievable, anyhow you take it. When the woman contacted the resort, she was told that no reservations had been made. The woman told police that on June 18th, she made an online transaction via her Royal Bank account to the named travel agency for an all-inclusive stay at Jolly Beach Resort in Antigua. Inclusive of the flight, the package cost $16,000. You know, it is a little $16,000, boy. This day and age, boy. I wish I had that money to invest in my home and my shop. After calling the resort and being told that they hadn't received any payment, the woman tried calling the travel agency several times. But since June, there's been no answer. The victim, 36, made a report to the fraud squad last week. We must have a way to be able to locate this fake travel agency and hold them accountable legally for their despicable actions. Regional news from Guyana. Director of Public Information Edward Lane called out the Guyana Press Association GPA for what he described as inaccurate and untruthful claims. Tell your mainstream media anyhow you go. Just for some reason, don't like a government that serves the people well. You don't really wonder, you know, boy. I tell you, the elites all around the world are the same, you know. They are vultures. That's what they are. Regarding President Dr. Irfan Ali's treatment of journalist Travis Chase, in a statement issued on Monday, Lane dismissed the GPA's call for condemnation of the president's handling of Chase, calling it politically motivated by the association's leadership. Why, I tell you, just like CNC3 in Trinidad and Tobago, though, waste of time media. President Dr. Irfan Ali met with the United States Deputy Assistant Secretary of War, Mr. Joseph M. Homaya, at State House yesterday. During the meeting, the head of state emphasized that the sovereignty and defense of Guyana are central priorities for his government. The discussion also focused on strengthening and expanding Guyana's strategic partnership with the United States, with his shared commitment to peace and security across the region. He's a wise leader, just like Kamala Prasad says so. He has enough common sense to understand. We cannot defend ourselves against powerful nations like Venezuela that have militaries probably larger than an entire population. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. But extremely powerful, and it's still an extremely powerful military. We need a big brother like America to defend us. But tribal people don't think with common sense. The body of a pensioner from Wakenham Island was this morning, that's yesterday morning, of course, my news would have been from yesterday, in the Sopenham Creek on the Essequibo coast in Region 2. The victim has been identified as Abdul Ramjan Khan, 69 years of age. Reports are that around 7:10 a.m. yesterday, police in the region were called in after a passerby observed a body floating in the Sopenham waterfront area in the vicinity of the Farmer's Wharf. The man was clad in a vest and trunks, and blood was seen oozing from the ears. That could be a sign of marks of violence, or probably had some kind of, I don't know, stroke or whatever. The victim's son-in-law told investigators that on Sunday morning, the pensioner had departed, or he fell, had departed Wakenham, I believe, Island, alone in a wooden boat to head to the Essequibo coast with the intention of buying engine parts, but he never returned. Condolences to the family, but that sounds suspicious. Foul play could definitely be involved. News from Grenada. A top Grenadian legal expert does not believe that the Chinese developer will ever bring into fruition the multi-million-dollar Levera development project. I have nothing against China itself. I have nothing against the Chinese people. Matter of fact, I have nothing against the Chinese migrants here in Trinidad and Tobago as well. And it angers me when a lot of our local people treat them with utter disrespect when they enter their supermarkets or their restaurants and whatsoever. But the Chinese government, led by a tyrant, a dictator, a communist, those are the people that I'm against. And a lot of the times, these high-ranking officials are controlled by the Communist Party in China. This is why I don't understand why countries like Grenada and a lot of other tribal leaders in the region prefer to align themselves with communist nations like China and Russia and Iran instead of America. It's just crazy. This is the type of fruits you reap when it is you form alliances or closer alliances with countries like China at this point in time when it's under the control of a communist party, which it has been that way for decades now. Speaking to the new today on Wednesday, I guess that's the name of the media house or whatever, the new today on Wednesday, he said that the stalled project being undertaken by the Singapore Shenyang I should see here in Jamaica. Anyhow, the artist. So undertaken by the Singapore Heng Sheng Grenada Development Pte. Limited in the north of the island is nothing but a phantom project scam, boy. That way called scam. He branded Heng Sheng as an imaginary thing because after 5 years, the company is still building a platform in the area. My goodness, 5 years and all you have is a platform. He said that absolutely nothing is going on at the development site at the moment, and the developers are merely barricading the developers have merely barricaded themselves up there and put dogs on the whole compound to keep people out. What are you waiting for China to come and overthrow Grenada? Nothing is happening at Heng Sheng, and nothing will ever happen with Heng Sheng, he added. According to the senior lawyer, several locals often go to an area called Welcome Rock, a tourism attraction in the north, to take out photos of the Levera development site, and nothing is going on. Something has to be done about that, of course. The developers had promised to build a major tourism facility at Levera with funds raised through the sale of Grenadian passports through the Citizenship by Investment Program, CBI, run by a new entity called the Investment Migration Agency. It's just waste of time and money. However, on April 8, 2025, an internal review panel convened by the IMA suspended Heng Sheng from the program. Well, send Heng Sheng back to China. That's what you need to do. The National Marine Fisheries Services, also known as NOAA Fisheries, has unveiled its plans to impose seafood export bans across 46 nations, with fisheries laws that fail to meet United States standards for avoiding bycatch of marine mammals. I don't see anything wrong with that. According to the information, this list comprises of several Caribbean nations, including, sadly, Grenada and St. Lucia. NOAA Fisheries said that the fishing vessels from around half of the world's seafood exporting countries are not meeting compatibility standards in accordance with the U.S. law for avoiding the unintentional catch of dolphins, whales, and other marine mammals. In an official press release, the agency said that those nations now face stringent export restrictions while ensuring that seafood entering the U.S. markets must allow the similar high standards as American caught seafood. Once again, people shouldn't be angry about this. I believe that Trump is overdoing when it pertains to certain types of actions he's taking with the tariffs and whatsoever to an extent. I agree with most of the tariffs, but I think he's overdoing it now. But this is talking about protecting the wildlife, and therefore I fully agree with this measure. No more overheating phones. Cool your phones in seconds. Prevents damage to phones and battery issues. Better gaming experience and streaming. USB powered and fast charging. Lightweight and quiet. Ideal for kids and adults. Works with all smartphones. Makes a great gift. Enjoy free island-wide delivery. Call or WhatsApp 868-762-6589. News from Jamaica. Transport Minister Darrell Vaz says one driver in the government's rural school bus program was recorded as having 14 speeding violations during the first official rollout of buses today. In a post on Monday evening on social media platform X, Vaz said he was sharing the information in the interest of transparency. That bus driver needs to be removed immediately because he's going to endanger the lives of the students traveling on the bus, and also individuals, whether it's pedestrians or other occupants of other vehicles. 2 men, including twin brothers, have been charged with housebreaking and larceny and receiving stolen property in relation to the theft of motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. Charged a 28-year-old delivery man, Kevon James, a 28-year-old mechanic, Kevon James, both of Morningside Drive, Montego Bay in St. James, and 35-year-old Derek Robinson, otherwise known as Biggs. My partner being Biggs in Trinidad, but that is not the Biggs I know, of a chef of Dr. Chang Boulevard, Norwood, also in St. James. More news from Jamaica. The decomposing body of a man with gunshot wounds was found in a ditch along a road in Ramble, Manchester on Sunday. He has been identified as 33-year-old Orion Kesley, otherwise called Bad Bush gone by, of Good Hope in the parish. Condolences to the family. International news now. Trump receives a standing ovation after announcing that his administration will protect prayer in public schools. And this is what we call restraining of evil. For years, under the radical left, Democrats, they have been trying to erase Christianity from America and erase Christianity from influencing the politics in America, and have been persecuting Christians attending public schools. You can't even read your Bible. You can't do this. You can't do that. That has come to an end under the Trump administration. Is he perfect? Hell no. There's so many things I disagree with him on. Matter of fact, I continue to disagree with him for attempting to make more deals with Hamas. How many times will you make deals with Hamas? But time is of the essence. This news report is going to be extremely long anyhow you take it. But once again, as long as the Holy Spirit is here on earth, he's going to use a lot of imperfect people. Even us as Christians, as myself, I'm an extremely imperfect Christian. And yet I believe the Holy Spirit is also using me to shine a light on a lot of issues. expose a lot of issues that are taking place in the world and even here in Trinidad and Tobago. So this is one of the most beautiful news reports that I've heard in America in a very long time. In some other good news for the Trump administration, the Supreme Court cleared the way for the Trump administration to continue carrying out immigration raids in California after advocacy groups argued that federal authorities were stopping suspected illegal immigrants without a valid reason. The High Court's 6-3 decision, issued all along ideological lines, is temporary while the case proceeds in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. So it's not a permanent victory for the Trump administration, though. It came after a federal judge in July blocked immigration and customs enforcement for conducting raids in Los Angeles County, finding the plaintiffs likely would succeed in the argument that the raids violated the Fourth Amendment. The Ninth Circuit upheld the order, leading the Trump administration to turn to the Supreme Court. The thing about it is, as I keep saying over and over again, I fully support the protection of the borders in America. I support the deportation of criminal gangs. I support deportation to an extent, but the mass deportation and the inhumane way it is being conducted and carried out is what I will not agree with. But the vast majority of the decisions being made by the Trump administration are still things that I support in general.
I'm pleased to announce this morning that the Department of Education will soon issue new guidance protecting the right to prayer in our public schools, and it's total protection. Thank you, Hannah. Great job.
You won't be disappointed with this one. Look and feel great every day. Painless trimming with no pulling of hair guaranteed. Comfortable to hold and lightweight. Intelligent anti-pinch system. Safety travel lock. Accurate and painless trimming. Durability 100% quality. Fast charging. To place an order, call or WhatsApp 868-762-6589. The global summer flotilla that the jihadists loving far left activists and them with a Tata, an aid ship, not an aid ship, it's a political far left radical propaganda ship, jihadist ship. The Gaza carrying climate activist Greta Thunberg, radical far left jihadist loving Thunberg, and civilians from 44 countries were struck in an alleged drone attack off the Tunisian coast on Tuesday. The vessel was part of an attempt to break Israel's blockade of the Gaza Strip. Of course, you know, most likely they're going to try to blame Israel for that, but most likely it's officials from that country that fired at them. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro on Monday said India must come around at some point on trade negotiations with the U.S. or else it won't end well for Delhi. Said the Indian government takes offense to him and described India as the Maharaja of tariffs. But when it pertains with India, number one, Trump administration decided to impose certain tariffs on India because they continue to basically indirectly fund the war in Ukraine, because they are purchasing certain things from Russia, which empowers Russia, of course, and enriches Russia to continue their war in India. And Modi should be supporting that, man. It is wrong. So I support Trump's decision there. And also it's because there was an imbalance with the trade deals between India and America, just like with China for decades now. Israeli strike on the Syrian Air Defense Battalion in Homs, western Syria. The Israeli airstrike targeted new Turkish military equipment that was given to the Syrian government, as well as a Russian Panzer air defense system that was located in a hunger for maintenance. The thing about it is, people, you have to remember, as much as this man pretends to be diplomatic, the leader, the president of Syria right now is a Hamas terrorist. And this is why there's basically a sort of a frenemy relationship between the Israeli regime and the Syrian government right now. Because the Syrian government pretends as though they want to have a diplomatic relationship with Israel, when in fact they continue to sponsor, they continue to control the jihadist terrorist organizations in Syria that aren't only targeting Israel, but they are also targeting the Druze, D-R-U-Z-E, a minority people in Syria. They were massacring them up to the other day, up to recently. An official statement was released by the Hamas terrorist organization yesterday. They said, "We appreciate the Spanish government's decision today to ban arms exports to the Zionist occupation and to close Spanish ports to ships transporting weapons and military systems. My response, the world is rewarding Hamas for their continued acts of terrorism, and the mainstream satanic media, they love it. And that's why they will continue to push news reports like that without giving any sort of commentary to condemn the actions and statements by the Hamas terrorist organization." Listen to exactly what it said there. Zionist occupation. They're against Zionism. Anyway, I am a Zionist. Born again Christians supposed to be Zionists as well, because we all believe what the Bible says, that the land belongs to the Jews. And these radical jihadists, they do not want a Jewish nation. It's not about a two-state solution, people. The Palestinians have never wanted a two-state solution. They want one Palestinian radical jihadist state. Listen to the statement that they keep chanting over and over again. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. They identify, they believe, they recognize the entire area there as Palestinian territory, from the river of Jordan to the sea. So therefore, people, when you're thinking as though you're seeking peace and you want a two-state solution, that is not what the Palestinians want. They want to wipe Israel off the map. And that has been taking place since before 1948. They have disagreed. They have objected to any two-state solution over and over again. And yet they pretend as though they want to continue negotiating, but they don't want to. Because these satanic people want to wipe Israel and all Israelis off the face of the earth. The United, and one more thing. Someone made a statement yesterday online, or I believe it's Amnesty Party himself, that made a statement that that whole press release thing is there's propaganda, you know, because you know why? It's not that Israel isn't really importing any sort of arms and ammunition from Spain in the first place. It's the other way around. It's Israel that provides arms and ammunition for Spain. So basically the person said yesterday, well, you know what? Since you all don't want it, we will export those same weapons to Germany, where it will be utilized properly. So Spain, go ahead and play stupid games that will end up causing you to be more vulnerable to the jihadist radicals that are in your country right now and are ready to declare Sharia law throughout your entire nation. The United Emirates condemned the attack in Jerusalem, terrorist attack that took place in Jerusalem. The statement said that they strongly condemned the terrorist shooting incident that took place near Jerusalem, resulting in the murder and injury of over 6 people. The last time I checked, the count was 6. And other people are still in critical condition, so the number might end up rising. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs emphasized that the state of the United Arab Emirates expresses condemnation of these acts of terror and always rejects all forms of violence and terrorism that undermine security and stability. The ministry also sends sincere condolences to the families and relatives of the victims, to the state of Israel and its friendly people, and wish a speedy recovery to all the injured. The thing about it is, they're basically hypocrites as well. Because while you are saying that you are totally against violence, you're ignoring the reality that the Palestinian people will never live in peace with the Israelis. And this is why it is wrong of you to be threatening to walk away from the Abrahamic Accords just because Prime Minister Netanyahu and his administration have made it clear that they want to annex Judea and Samaria, and therefore erase any or eliminate any chances of there being a two-state solution. You cannot have two-state solution with radical jihadists that want to wipe you off the face of the earth. Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all, in Jesus' name.